Hi, my name is Norman Marks, and I want to talk to you today about cyber. And why is it that there's this disconnect between the people running the business and who have the money to invest in cyber and the people responsible for ensuring appropriate information security, cyber defenses, and responses? There's a gap because let me tell you a story, hypothetical story that perhaps will illustrate why there's this gap. So let's pretend you're the CEO and you're sitting next to the CFO when the head of information security, the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, comes in and says, we need to spend $500,000 to upgrade our cybersecurity because it's a high risk. It's a high risk. We've got some new things happening, and the further exposures, further vulnerabilities that we haven't really covered yet. And I need $500,000, which will go a long way, if not totally eliminating the level of risk. It'll bring it down to what we talked about before as being an acceptable level of risk. That is unlikely now, after we spend that $500,000, that somebody will get in and hold us to ransom by preventing us from accessing and using our systems, or stealing our intellectual property, our customer and information and personal information, which is obviously subject to compliance requirements. I need $500,000. So you look to your CFO, and your CFO says, well, Mr. CEO, there really isn't an awful lot of cash that we have. We can maybe spare $500,000 right now because everything is tied up, all the capital is already allocated. And frankly, this is a tight market when it comes to getting more money. So it's going to be difficult if we have to spend more than $500,000, but I think we can just barely afford $500,000 to get us through, and hopefully our new products, which are coming out in a few months, will start generating more revenue, we'll get more cash, and we'll be fine. So you think, okay, this is good. Maybe I will be able to afford that $500,000. So you tell the CISO that, let me get back to you, I just need to check on a couple of things. And he walks out. And in walks your compliance officer. And she tells you, I need $600,000. I could barely get by with $500,000 because of new compliance requirements around anti-money laundering and data privacy. And we really need to do this because the risk is high, and the regulators could shut down our business, especially in Europe, where we've got a lot of EU compliance requirements which are really tight, and also in the Far East, in China, and even in Thailand, where we really need to do things to make sure that we're complying with global laws and regulations. And you think, well, wait a minute, I've got these two competing requirements. How am I supposed to decide on these? So you tell her, let me get back to you. And as she walks out, the chief marketing officer walks in, and she tells you, wait a minute. And then the head of product engineering comes in. And the two of them tell you that we think we're ready to move faster than we had planned to bring our new products to market. The engineering is ready. The testing is almost finished. And if you give us $475,000, that's what we estimate, to complete the testing and roll out the marketing plan early, we can generate several times that per month in additional revenue, which will flow almost directly down to the bottom line. So you're thinking, no, wait a minute. I've got all these competing requirements and demands for the same amount of money. How am I supposed to address that? Because the problem is, I as a CEO, even with the help of my CEO, or in fact the chief risk officer, I can't necessarily weigh these easily because they're being presented to me using different language, different ways of measuring the return on investment. Not they're telling me the risk is high or the reward is high in the case of marketing, but how am I supposed to balance these against each other? And this is where the gap exists because people are talking in different language. They're talking past each other. They're certainly not talking in a way that is helpful to those running the organization, making the right business decision. Should I take the information security risk for a while so that I can use that money to generate more revenue with the new product, which is coming out earlier? Or should I put that money because I'm really worried about shutting the business down because the regulators, and who knows what will happen after that, because the regulators will start looking at us more closely. This is the issue. And so we've got to stop. This is my plea. We've got to stop looking at all of these things in isolation. We can't look at just assessing risk, especially cyber risk, and saying it's high, because that's not giving enough information to those in charge of making the right business decision so that they can evaluate whether I should invest in cyber, because that's what it is. You're investing in cyber. You're investing in not taking the risk. Or should I actually take that risk and do something else? But you need to be able to compare that cyber risk to other sources of risk and opportunity, reward. And that means that everybody's got to start thinking not in terms of risk to, as NIST and ISO and FAIR talk about, information assets, but risk to the business and the achievement of its objectives. And that is why I have written, and you knew there was going to be a plug at some point, this book, Understanding the Business Risk That is Cyber. And it explains how all of these different risks and opportunities for reward, opportunities for further achievement of the objectives, can be weighed against each other so the leaders of the organization can make an appropriate business decision. I hope you find this useful, food for thought, and hopefully you'll find the book, which is available on Amazon in both e-reader and also in paperback. I hope you find that to be useful. Thank you.